Chapter 2. The Golden Maya. Eli finally reached home, his heart still racing from the encounter in the forest. The old wooden door creaked as he pushed it open. Inside, the house was quiet, only the faint smell of cooked rice lingering in the air. Tata Noel and Lisa must be at the farm, Eli thought, noticing the empty kitchen. He felt a mix of relief and loneliness. The quiet gave him time to think, but it also made him aware of how alone he was. He carefully set his wicker basket on the table and pulled out the small bundle containing the injured bird. The Maya was still, its golden feathers dimmer than before. "Poor thing," Eli whispered. "You've been through a lot today, huh?" He placed the bird on the table and gently unwrapped it from the cloth. The bird's wings were drooping, but Eli noticed they weren't broken. "At least you can still move them," he said, a small comfort in his voice. He reached for a small bowl of water, dipped his finger in, and let a drop fall into the bird's beak. The Maya eagerly drank, its tiny throat moving with each swallow. "You must be thirsty," Eli thought, a pang of sympathy in his chest. The bird closed its eyes, its body relaxing in a way that made Eli feel a bit of hope. "You'll be all right," he murmured, more to himself than to the bird. He took one of his old shirts and carefully made a small nest in the corner of his bed, far from the window. "This should keep you safe and warm," he said as he placed the bird in the makeshift nest. The Maya curled up, tucking its head under its wing. Eli watched the bird for a moment, feeling a strange connection to it. "We're both kind of lost, aren't we?" he thought. The thought made him feel a little less alone. He gently placed the wicker basket over the bird, leaving enough space for air to flow through. "Just in case," he whispered, thinking about the strange creature that had attacked them in the forest. As Eli stood there, watching the little Maya sleep, he couldn't shake the feeling that today was just the beginning of something bigger. "What did I get myself into?" he wondered, his mind swirling with questions. But for now, he knew he had to take care of this bird. "One thing at a time, Eli," he told himself, trying to calm the nervous energy buzzing in his chest. He sat on the edge of his bed, the weight of the day finally sinking in. The quiet of the house, the soft breathing of the bird, it all felt surreal. "I just wanted to gather mushrooms," he thought, almost laughing at how simple his morning intentions had been compared to how the day had turned out. Eli leaned back for a moment, thinking about everything that had happened. But he couldn't rest yet. "I still need to go to the market," he reminded himself, the thought pulling him back to reality. He glanced at the wicker basket covering the sleeping Maya. "You'll be safe here," he said softly, reassuring himself as much as the bird. He stood up and moved toward the table, where his basket of wild produce still sat. Carefully, he picked it up, slung it over his shoulder, and took one last look at the bird. "I'll be back soon," he promised, feeling a sense of responsibility he hadn't expected. With a deep breath, Eli headed for the door, stepping back out into the fading light. The market was waiting, and he had work to do. Eli changed into a fresh shirt, the fabric still carrying a faint scent of the soap Lisa had used. He glanced at the wicker basket, now filled with wild produce he had foraged earlier, and a small bundle containing the orchids he had carefully picked from the high branches deep within the forest. The vibrant petals still glistened with morning dew, their delicate beauty almost too perfect for this world. Eli smiled to himself, feeling a small sense of pride in the bounty he was about to bring to the market. Stepping out of the house, Eli could feel the warmth of the sun as it began its climb into the sky. The barrio was quiet, the only sounds coming from the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze and the distant crowing of a rooster. He started down the dirt path that led to the farmer's market, his basket swinging lightly by his side. As Eli rounded a corner, he spotted Manong passing ahead, slowly making her way up the path from her own small farm. Manong Pasang was a stout, elderly woman with a kind face framed by strands of gray hair that escaped from her neat bun. Her hands were calloused from years of work, but they were gentle and warm, just like her heart. She was known in the barrio for her generosity and her constant concern for everyone, especially Eli. "Good morning, Manong Pasang," Eli called out, quickening his steps to catch up with her. "Good morning, Eli," she replied, her voice soft yet strong. She turned to him, her eyes crinkling at the corners as she smiled. "You're up early as always. How are you, Iho?" "I'm doing well, Manong," Eli said, returning her smile. "I've got some fresh orchids today. Found them high up in the forest trees." "Orchids?" Manong Pasang's eyes lit up with interest. Let me see. Let me see." Eli carefully opened the bundle in his basket, revealing the orchids. Their petals were a deep shade of purple, with streaks of white and yellow that seemed to glow in the sunlight. The flowers were perfectly formed, their beauty striking even in their simplicity. "Oh my," Manong Pasang breathed, reaching out to gently touch one of the petals. "These are beautiful, Eli. Truly beautiful." "I had to climb pretty high to get them," Eli said, a hint of pride in his voice. "But it was worth it. I thought you might like them." "Like them? I love them," Manong Pasang exclaimed, her face beaming with delight. "These will look wonderful in my little garden. You always bring me the best flowers, Eli." Eli blushed slightly at the praise. "I'm glad you like them, Manong. They're not easy to find, but I always try to bring something special for you." Manong Pasang reached into the small pouch she carried at her waist and pulled out a few extra bills. She pressed them into Eli's hand, her expression firm. "Here, take this. Add it to your savings for school." "Manong, this is too much," Eli protested, looking at the coins in his hand. "You don't have to." "Hush now," Manong Pasang interrupted, waving a hand dismissively. "You deserve it, Iho. You work so hard, and I know you're saving up for school. This is my way of helping out." Eli looked at the kind matron, his heart swelling with gratitude. Manong Pasang had always looked out for him, ever since he was brought to the barrio by Tata Noel a few years ago. She was like a second mother to him, always ready with a kind word, a piece of advice, or a warm meal when he needed it. "Thank you, Manong," Eli said, his voice thick with emotion. "I promise I'll do my best in school. I want to make you proud." "You already make me proud, Eli," Manong Pasang said softly, patting his arm. "You're a good boy with a good heart. That's what matters most. But yes, study hard and make something of yourself. The world has so much to offer, and I want to see you seize every opportunity." Eli nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "I will, Manong. I'll make sure I do well." The two of them continued walking together, chatting about the upcoming harvest season and the latest gossip from the barrio. Manong Pasang asked Eli about his studies, and he told her about his favorite subjects, the books he loved reading, and his dreams of going to the city one day to pursue higher education. "I can see you doing great things, Eli," Manong Pasang said as they neared the market. "You have a bright future ahead of you. Just remember to always stay true to yourself and your values. Don't let the world change who you are." "I won't forget, Manong," Eli promised, touched by her words. "I'll always remember where I come from and the people who helped me get to where I'm going." They reached the market, where the early morning hustle and bustle was already in full swing. Vendors were setting up their stalls, arranging their produce, and calling out to potential customers. The air was filled with the scent of fresh vegetables, ripe fruits, and the sound of haggling voices. Manong Pasang stopped and turned to Eli. "Take care, Eli. And don't forget to visit me when you have time. My door is always open for you." "I will, Manong. Thank you for everything," Eli said, giving her a warm smile. Manong Pasang patted his cheek affectionately before heading off to her usual stall, where she sold homemade herbal remedies and freshly baked goods. Eli watched her go, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the kindness she had always shown him. With a renewed sense of purpose, Eli made his way to his usual spot in the market. He set down his basket and began arranging the produce and flowers, making sure the orchids were displayed prominently. As he did, He couldn't help but think about the conversation he had just had with Manong Pasang. Her words echoed in his mind, filling him with determination to make the most of the opportunities that lay ahead. As the morning wore on, customers began to trickle in, drawn to the vibrant colors of Eli's produce and the striking beauty of the orchids. Each sale brought a small sense of accomplishment, a step closer to his goal of saving enough for school. By the time the sun was high in the sky, Eli had sold nearly everything in his basket. The orchids, in particular, had been a big hit, with many of the barrio's women admiring their beauty and buying them to brighten their homes. Eli counted his earnings, a satisfied smile on his face. Today had been a good day, and he was grateful for the support of people like Manong Pasang. As he packed up his things and prepared to head home, he felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that he was one step closer to achieving his dreams. As he walked back through the bustling market, Eli thought about the future. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but with the support of people like Manong Pasang and his own determination, he was confident that he could overcome any obstacles that came his way. Eli returned home from the market with a spring in his step, a bag of freshly baked bread in one hand. The scent of warm bread mixed with the earthy aroma of the forest still clinging to his clothes. The golden Maya, now resting comfortably at home, lingered in his thoughts, but the busy day had done wonders to distract him. When Eli reached the small wooden house, he found Lisa bustling about the kitchen, her slender frame moving with practiced ease as she prepared dinner. Tata Noel sat by the window, savoring a cup of coffee, his eyes lost in thought. The sight of Eli brought a warm smile to the old man's face. "Ah, just in time," Tata Noel greeted him, nodding towards the bread in Eli's hand. "Looks like you've brought something for merienda." Eli grinned, setting the bag of bread on the table. "Fresh from the market, Tata. They were still warm when I got them." The aroma of the bread filled the small kitchen, mixing with the rich smell of coffee. Lisa emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. To Eli's surprise, the golden Maya was perched on her head, its tiny feet clutching her hair as it pecked playfully at a stray lock. Lisa giggled, her eyes lighting up with mischief. "Look what I found!" she exclaimed, gently lifting the bird and holding it out for Eli to see. "Seems like your little friend has taken a liking to me." Eli couldn't help but chuckle. "Looks like it. I hope it wasn't too much trouble." "Not at all," Lisa replied, placing the bird on the table. "I gave it some water, and it's been quite the entertainer while I cooked. By the way, Eli," she added, suddenly serious, "you look tired. Did you walk all the way back from the market?" Eli nodded, taking the glass of water Lisa handed him. "Yeah, it was a bit of a walk, but nothing I can't handle. The market was busy today, but I sold most of the produce. Manong Pasang even bought some orchids from me." Tata Noel raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "Orchids, huh? Those aren't easy to come by. Did you find them up in the mountains?" "Yes, Tata. High up in the trees, near the old Nara Grove," Eli explained, recalling the morning's climb. "They were a bit of a challenge to reach, but it was worth it. Manong Pasang loved them. She even gave me a little extra to save for school." Lisa, now back in the kitchen, called out, "That's wonderful, Eli. You're really making sure you're ready for the school year. Have you decided what you'll focus on in your studies?" Eli sipped his water, thoughtful. "I'm still thinking, little sister. Maybe something with agriculture or botany. I want to learn more about the plants in the forest, maybe even find a way to help the community with what I learn." Tata Noel nodded approvingly. "That's a good path, Eli. Knowledge is important, but using it to give back to the community is what matters most. And the forest. It holds many secrets. The more you understand it, the better you can protect it and yourself." Eli met Tata Noel's gaze, sensing the weight behind his words. "I'll do my best, Tata. I promise." Lisa returned to the table, balancing a tray laden with bowls of steaming food. The golden Maya chirped curiously, hopping closer to the edge of the table. "Dinner's ready," Lisa announced, placing the bowls in the center. Let's eat before it gets cold. As they settled in for dinner, Eli noticed the way Tata Noel kept glancing at him, his expression more serious than usual. The old man had always been protective, especially since the old man found Eli unconscious at the beach the morning after a huge tsunami laid waste to the island a few years back. But tonight there was something different in his eyes, something that made Eli's heart skip a beat. After a few minutes of eating in silence, Tata Noel cleared his throat. Eli, I noticed something when I went outside earlier. I saw your shirt, torn and stained with blood. What happened? Eli froze, his fork halfway to his mouth. He hadn't expected the question so soon. Setting his fork down, he took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. It's nothing serious, Tata, Eli began, his voice low. I had a bit of an encounter in the forest. Lisa and Tata Noel exchanged worried glances, the mood at the table shifting. Tata Noel leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. What kind of encounter? Eli hesitated, then began recounting the events of the day. He told them about the golden Maya, how it had led him deeper into the forest, and the strange sense of unease that had washed over him as he followed it. He described the sudden attack, the dark blur that had knocked him down, and the red eyes that had stared back at him from the shadows. Tata Noel listened intently, his expression growing darker with each word. Lisa's eyes widened in fear as Eli described the creature's eyes and the way it had lunged at him. When he got to the part about the poison, Tata Noel's hand clenched around his coffee cup, his knuckles turning white. Let me see your shoulder, Tata Noel said quietly. Setting down his cup, his voice was calm, but Eli could sense the tension beneath the surface. Eli nodded, standing up and pulling his shirt off over his head. The gashes were still there, clean but raw, the edges of the wounds darkened slightly. Tata Noel examined the wounds closely, his brow furrowing. These marks, they're not just from claws. There's something more to them. He gently pressed around the edges, causing Eli to wince. Did you feel any burning or numbness when you were attacked? Eli thought back, recalling the brief moments of contact. A little, I guess. It felt strange, like a sting, but I was more focused on getting away. Tata Noel nodded, deep in thought. He stood up and walked over to a small cabinet in the corner of the room, rummaging through the contents until he found a small jar of ointment. This is a special balm I've made from local herbs. It should help with the pain and prevent any further infection. As he applied the ointment to Eli's wounds, Tata Noel's face remained grim. Eli, that creature you encountered, it wasn't just any wild animal. It's something darker. The poison in its claws is unlike anything I've seen before. We need to be careful. Eli winced as the ointment touched his skin, a cool relief spreading through the gashes. Do you know what it was, Tata? Have you seen it before? Tata Noel shook his head, his expression troubled. No, but I've heard stories. There are things in this forest that even I don't fully understand. Creatures that dwell in the shadows, ancient and dangerous. Whatever it was hunting that bird, and you. Lisa, who had been silent until now, spoke up, her voice trembling. Tata, do you think it'll come back? What if it's still out there, waiting?
We want to bring our rich and amazing history and beliefs as stories that the whole world can enjoy. We hope you had a great time listening to these creative tales as much as we enjoyed writing and making them. We would love to hear your thoughts about the stories. Let us know in the comment section and share the video to your friends. If you like this kind of videos, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to show your support and help us produce more content for you. You can reach us through our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Say hi. We would love to hear from our friends and grow the community. Thank you, and stay spooky.